Hi, welcome to my midpoint review. In this review, I will be reflecting upon my progress and I will also be identifying key points I feel are important I need to act upon. My first project was to create a travel illustration for a magazine cover. I chose to research illustrators Ruqayya Friz, Miranda Safaranu, and Miroslav Sasek. Over here, Safaranu creates a scene with a surreal winding road using mixed media techniques. My research inspired me to explore colour, composition, and movement within the scene. Visual references like my photographs and my sketches on location helped me in getting ideas to create the Mostar Bridge. This illustration was created watercolour and colour pencils on an A6 sketchbook. This is a great practice for me in keeping my sketches loose. Next, I used my iPad to create a sketch of the bridge and explore composition. I had to keep in mind that it was an illustration for a front cover of a magazine. After a few experiments, I reached a desired conclusion. I then explored colour, firstly with colour swatches and then explored it within the sketch. I added further details such as food and drink and added further details on the buildings. I like this sketch. It's loose and conveys the vibrancy of the scene quite well. I started the final illustration with using colour pencils and gouache. Looking back and reflecting, I think I could have created a looser illustration and perhaps without the blue line. I think I was too focused and stressed about how it would look like on the magazine cover. In the illustration, I managed to convey movement in the scene. I think the colours pop quite well and there's a lot of texture and marks that I'm quite pleased by. Unfortunately, the scanner didn't transfer the colour too well, which I'm quite disappointed by. After a lot of editing and creating the illustration, I was pleased with the final cover, but I always felt there was room for improvement. My tutor's feedback said that the illustration was very good, but the colours look quite flat, and I agree. I'm hoping to make a few changes for the final project. For my next project, I decided to do conceptual illustration. It was a new subject for me that I wanted to explore. I researched conceptual illustrators Eva B. and Daniela Ferretti. I learned that conveying a concept is just as or more important than the style of illustration. After exploring a list of potential topics, I chose to create an illustration to accompany the new Alzheimer's drug. I sketched out a few ideas and unfortunately settled with the wrong ideas. My tutor said that this image didn't specifically communicate the idea of treating dementia. This image was also unclear. My tutor said that there weren't enough memories visualized and it needed a brain logo on the medicine bottle which might communicate the brief more clearly. I do like this idea, so we'll edit this image for the final project. I quite enjoyed putting this image together, but I started to focus too much on the illustration rather than the message, and I got lost in its development. My tutor said this image was also visually unclear. In hindsight, I should show the sketches to people so they can pick which idea was the best and convey the message clearly. This idea was my tutor's favourite. I didn't choose this image to put towards my final illustration because I found it a bit uninteresting, and I think looking back now, I was thinking like an artist rather than a conceptual illustrator. My next project was to create a book cover illustration, and I decided to research Holly Ovenden, who has a variety of different book covers that I was inspired by. I liked Overden's work a lot and I chose a few covers to research. The Acrobats of Agra was one of them. I decided to choose biography Tiger, The Life of Tipu Sultan by Kate Brittlebank. I researched non-fictional genres through visual references such as my photographs and Pinterest. I then created thumbnail sketches and then chose my favourite to create 3 full sketches. I learnt from my mistake from the last project and created the sketches which I sent to my artist friends and family members. They picked 2 sketches, with most votes going to this sketch. So I decided to choose this idea to create my final illustration. I explored colour, getting ideas and inspiration from my research. I wanted an effect that looked like an old wall, so I decided to choose a cream colour as a background. I explored a few colour schemes which I then used in my sketches. As there is a lot of pattern, I decided to use less colours as not to overwhelm the design. I started with the red and orange colours for the cover and used gouache to create the illustration. I also created a bit of collage to make the elements in the illustration stand out. I used colour pencils to add detail. I scanned in the illustration and added further detail with Procreate. I explored back covers and book spines to get some inspiration to create my own. I added the same tigers onto the back cover and created a gold border. I then added the wording using Adobe InDesign. I'm quite pleased with the cover, and I'm quite happy that my tutor liked the book cover too. He gave me a few ideas in creating further book covers using this layout, which I hope to create in the final project. This by far is my favourite completed image I have created this unit. I have learnt a lot through my previous projects and my recent critical review. I look forward to implementing everything I have learnt into my future projects.